Did you know New York has a river that flows both ways? Or that the Adirondacks were once as tall as the modern-day Himalayas? How about the fact that it has a small waterfall with a burning flame behind it that never goes out? Well, New York has plenty of crazy facts like this that will blow your mind. So sit back and relax as we work our way through 50 of them. Fact 50, New York's heights go beyond skyscrapers. Imagine this, millions of years ago, the Adirondack Mountains were as tall as the Himalayas. Yeah, massive towering peaks. But mountains don't stay that way forever. Over time, ice, wind, and rain slowly wore them down. It's like nature giving them a slow-motion haircut. After millions of years of erosion, those giant peaks have been shaved down to the 4,000 to 5,000 foot range we see today. The Adirondacks still pack a punch with over 100 peaks scattered across the region. The main event? Mount Marcy, standing at 5,344 feet as New York's highest point. Sure, it's no Everest, but considering it's probably lost tens of thousands of feet over the millennia, Mount Marcy is basically a geological survivor story. Fact 49. World's longest tunnel. Did you know that way beneath the Catskill Mountains, there's a tunnel so long, it makes subway lines look tiny? It's called the Delaware Aqueduct. This 85-mile continuous tunnel holds the world record as the longest of its kind, snaking 700 to 1,000 feet underground. But this isn't just for show. It's New York City's lifeline. Every day, this underground highway carries about half of the city's drinking water from upstate reservoirs straight to your tap. Fact 48. Hidden Ocean Canyon. Think the Hudson River ends at Manhattan? Not even close. About 100 miles off the coast of New York City, the river keeps going, underwater. It's called the Hudson Submarine Canyon, and it's massive. This underwater trench drops over 10,000 feet deep and stretches hundreds of miles into the Atlantic. It's like the Grand Canyon beneath the ocean. It formed when sea levels were much lower and the river carved deep into the seafloor. So while people stare at the Hudson from the Brooklyn Bridge, the real action is hidden far beneath the waves. Fact 47. Billion-year-old peaks, the true Adirondacks. Here's a geography twist most people don't know. The Adirondack Mountains aren't part of the Appalachians. Not even close. They're actually a giant dome of ancient rock from Canada's Precambrian Shield, and they somehow ended up in New York. These rocks are about 1 billion years old, making them some of the oldest on Earth. While the Appalachians were just forming, the Adirondacks were already ancient. Fact 46. Still upward Adirondacks. Now, here's something that'll make you look at the Adirondacks differently. They're still growing. Right now, as you're listening to this, these ancient mountains are quietly rising about 2 to 3 millimeters per year thanks to deep geological forces. That might not sound like much, but give it a few million years and we're talking serious growth. These billion-year-old peaks aren't done yet. They're just taking their sweet geological time about it. Fact 45. New York has a river that flows both ways. Here's a total mind bender. The Hudson River can't make up its mind about which way to flow. For much of its length, it's actually a tidal estuary. Basically an arm of the sea where salty ocean water crashes the freshwater party. Near New York City, this creates a twice-daily directional crisis. Every 6 hours, the Hudson literally reverses course with the ocean tides. So while you'd expect a river to flow south toward the sea, parts of the Hudson say no thanks and flow north twice a day instead. Fact 44. A massive glacier carved out of Lake Champlain. Lake Champlain has had a wild past. It was once solid ground, then got crushed by a giant glacier during the last ice age. After that, it filled up with ocean water and became the Champlain Sea, a saltwater bay connected to the Atlantic. Don't believe it? Scientists have found whale fossils over 200 miles from today's coastline. Yup, northern New York was once oceanfront property. Fact 43. GlacialDropped Boulders. Ever see a massive boulder sitting on top of a mountain and think, how did that get there? Say hello to glacial erratics. During the last ice age, giant glaciers scooped up huge rocks and carried them for hundreds of miles. When the ice melted, it just dropped them, wherever. That's why you can hike to the top of Mount Marcy and find a 15-ton boulder just sitting there like it owns the place. It's basically nature's version of getting someone else's mail, except it weighs as much as a truck. Fact 42. Watershed Factory. Adirondack Park isn't just huge. It's a 6 million acre water factory. These ancient mountains are the starting point for 5 major river systems. Rain and snow that fall here don't all flow the same way. Some head to the Atlantic, others to the St. Lawrence River and Gulf. It's like a giant natural sorting station for water, all powered by the mountains themselves. Fact 41. There's a mountain in New York made of moon rock minerals. Want to touch the moon without leaving Earth? Head to Whiteface Mountain near Lake Placid, the 5th highest peak in the state. But that's not the coolest part. This peak contains anorthosite, the exact same mineral that makes up the lunar highlands on the moon's surface. Think about that for a second. Parts of the Adirondacks are literally more geologically similar to the moon than they are to the neighboring Appalachian Mountains. That's like having a piece of space sitting in your backyard. Fact 40. Synica, Titan of the Finger Lakes. When it comes to the Finger Lakes, Synica Lake is the heavyweight champ. It's 35 miles long, 630 feet deep, and here's the wild part. It holds more water than all the other Finger Lakes combined. Not a little more, over half of the total. It's basically the big boss of the bunch. And trust me, there's more to this lake than just size, so stick around. Fact 39. More snow than most of Alaska. Think Alaska gets the most snow? Think again. The Tug Hill Plateau, just east of Lake Ontario, gets 200 to 300 inches of snow a year, way more than most of Alaska. In one storm, it dumped 95 inches in 5 days. That's nearly 8 feet of snow, enough to bury houses, cars, and anything not moving. Fact 38. Grand Canyon of the East. You don't need to go to Arizona to see an impressive canyon. Letchworth State Park in New York has the Genesee River Gorge, a 17-mile canyon with cliffs reaching up to 600 feet. What makes it stand out even more are the 3 major waterfalls along the way, including the powerful Middle Falls. It's earned the nickname Grand Canyon of the East, and in this case, the comparison actually makes sense. Fact 37. Frozen Fury. In December 1977, Buffalo's weather got completely flipped on its head. Lake Erie froze over earlier than ever. By mid-month, that early freeze basically shut down the area's usual snowstorms. Normally, Buffalo gets over 100 inches of snow each winter, mostly from lake effect snow. But once the lake froze solid, there was no open water to create evaporation, and without that, the snow machine stopped. Fact 36. Eternal Flame Falls. In Chestnut Ridge Park, Western New York pulls off one of nature's most impressive magic tricks, a waterfall that literally burns. Eternal Flame Falls might sound like something from a make-believe novel, but it's 100% real. Here's how it works. Natural gas seeps out from behind the falling water, creating a never-ending fuel source that can be lit. The end product? An orange flame that flickers day and night under the rushing water, defying everything your brain thinks it knows about fire and water mixing. The flame occasionally goes out, but visitors can relight it, making you an honorary keeper of New York's eternal flame. Fact 35. There's a giant sinkhole under a lake in central New York. Green Lake near Syracuse looks like a regular lake, but it's actually a massive sinkhole. It formed when an underground cave system collapsed, creating a 180-foot deep crater filled with bright turquoise water. But here's the strange part. The deep water never mixes with the surface. It's what's called meromictic, meaning the layers stay completely separate. That makes it a kind of natural time capsule and gives it that striking, unreal color. Fact 34. Some New York lakes have no bottom. Technically, some lakes in New York, like Round Lake and Green Lake near Syracuse, have layers of water that haven't mixed in over 10,000 years. The bottom layers are completely cut off from oxygen, creating natural preservation zones where ancient sediments remain untouched. But if those layers were ever disturbed, they could release trapped gases that have been building for thousands of years. These lakes might look peaceful, but beneath the surface, they're holding on to a very old and very toxic history. Fact 33. One river in New York flows underground for miles. Ever seen a river disappear? Near Cazenovia, Chittenango Creek does exactly that. It flows along normally, then suddenly drops underground into limestone caves, traveling for miles before popping back up like nothing happened. This happens because of karst terrain, where the ground is full of hidden caves and sinkholes. It turns part of upstate New York into a kind of natural maze, with rivers quietly flowing beneath fields and forests. Fact 32. Ancient Inland Sea. After the last ice age ended, northern New York experienced something straight out of a movie. it became an inland sea. The Champlain Sea, as geologists call it, was a massive saltwater invasion from the Atlantic that flooded the entire Lake Champlain Valley. And here's where it gets wild. This wasn't just any lake. We're talking about a legit marine ecosystem with whales and walruses casually swimming around what's now upstate New York. The proof? Beluga whale skeletons have been discovered about 200 miles from today's ocean, sitting at 200 feet of elevation. Fact 31. Synica, the icebreaker. Remember Synica Lake, our water-hoarding overachiever? Here's another party trick it has. It almost never freezes solid. We're talking about once-a-century events. The last time was around 1912. Its massive depth and volume create a natural heating system that defies winter's best efforts. But when it does freeze, it becomes an epic 35-mile ice highway. Fact 30. Synica's secret routes. Here's a mind bender. Synica Lake might look landlocked, but it's actually connected to the ocean. Thanks to New York's canal system, water from this finger lake can flow through the Erie Canal and eventually reach the Atlantic. So in theory, if you dropped a message in a bottle here, it could travel all the way around the world, with enough time and the right current. Fact 29. Synica's Mysteries. Synica Lake has another surprise. It makes strange booming sounds. Locals call them the Synica Lake guns. These sounds come from natural gas bubbles escaping from deep sandstone layers and popping at the surface. But here's the really weird part. The bottom of Synica Lake sits about 200 feet below sea level, even though it's in upstate New York. It's a leftover from the last ice age, when glaciers carved the lake so deep it ended up with its own underground basement. Fact 28. Skyfall. On October 9th, 1992, Catskill, New York got an unexpected visitor from space. A 27-pound meteor lit up the sky and crashed straight into a parked car, and it was all caught on camera from multiple angles. It became one of the most well-documented meteor strikes ever. And yep, someone actually had to explain to their insurance company that a rock from outer space totaled their car. Fact 27. Ice Volcano. Every winter, Letchworth State Park hosts one of nature's coolest optical illusions, an ice volcano that looks like a frozen volcanic eruption. This isn't actual lava, it's a spring-fed fountain that freezes into a towering 20 to 50 foot icy cone. The ice volcano at the park's southern end is caused by a gravity-fed garden fountain built without pumps or motors in 1860. The magic happens when the continuously flowing water builds up layer upon layer of ice, creating this massive frozen sculpture that jets water upward through its hollow center. Fact 26. Halfway to the pole. Here's a geography fact that'll make you feel perfectly balanced. The 45th parallel runs right through New York, cutting across the Adirondacks along the Quebec border. This invisible line marks the exact midpoint between the equator and the North Pole. So when you're hiking in the northern Adirondacks, you're literally standing halfway between the planet's hottest and coldest points. It's like being at the geographical center of Earth's temperature extremes. Fact 25. Downpour Record. August 12th to 13th, 2014 was the day Islip on Long Island decided to show Seattle who's boss. In just 24 hours, this town got absolutely hammered with 13.57 inches of rainfall, New York's single-day record. To put that in perspective, Seattle, the poster child for drizzly weather, gets about 37 inches of rain for the entire year. Islip managed to squeeze nearly half of Seattle's annual rainfall into one very, very wet day. Fact 24. Tornado Alley, New York edition. Think tornadoes only happen in the Midwest? Not quite. New York gets an average of about 10 tornadoes a year. Most are small and don't cause much damage, but stronger ones do show up now and then. In fact, 2024 set a record with 33 tornadoes, more than triple the usual number. Even northern states aren't off the hook when it comes to severe weather. Fact 23. New York has a hidden desert. Who needs Nevada when you have the Shawangunk Mountains? Hidden in the Sam's Point Ice Caves region lies the Dwarf Pine Barrens, New York's best-kept desert secret. This barren, sandy ecosystem features soil so dry and acidic it's practically desert conditions, and it has stunted pine trees that look like they've given up on life. It's like finding a piece of the Southwest randomly dropped into the Hudson Valley. While everyone else is enjoying New York's green forests, this little corner decided to cosplay as Arizona instead. Fact 22. Long freshwater beach. Move over, Hamptons. Plattsburgh has one of the best kept beach secrets in the country. Plattsburgh City Beach runs for 1.25 miles along Lake Champlain, making it one of the longest natural freshwater beaches in the US. It's just minutes from downtown and offers clear water and views of Vermont's Green Mountains. It's like a Great Lakes-style vacation without the long drive. Fact 21. New York's hidden fjord. Here's something that'll change how you look at the New York City skyline. Manhattan is basically sitting on top of a fjord. The lower Hudson River around the city is actually a deep glacier-carved fjord, just like the ones you'd find in Norway. When ancient glaciers decided to redecorate the region, they scoured out this river valley, creating the deep tidal waterway that now holds the Big Apple. So next time you're looking into Manhattan from the water, remember, you're not just looking at a city on a river, you're looking at a metropolis sitting on America's most urban fjord. Fact 20. Temperature extremes. New York's weather covers some serious extremes. The state's hottest temperature was 108 degrees Fahrenheit in Troy in July 1926, while the coldest was negative 52 degrees Fahrenheit in Old Forge in February 1979. That's a difference of more than 160 degrees, all within the same state. Fact 19. Seismic Adirondacks. So, we've established that tornadoes aren't strictly a Western problem, and neither are earthquakes. And this brings us back to the Adirondacks. New York experiences more seismic activity than most people realize, thanks to its location near the St. Lawrence Seaway seismic zone. Back in 2002, a magnitude 5.0 earthquake hit Ausable Forks, proving that even the most peaceful mountain region can throw a geological curveball. Fact 18. Coastline combo. New York is one of only 2 states with both Atlantic Ocean and Great Lakes coastlines. The other is Pennsylvania. That means New York has ocean beaches on Long Island and New York City, plus freshwater shores on Lakes Erie and Ontario. You could surf in the Atlantic in the morning and catch a Great Lakes sunset at night. Saltwater and freshwater, ocean waves and lake breezes, all in one state. Fact 17. Park overkill. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. Adirondack Park's 6 million acres make it the largest area of public wilderness in the contiguous United States. We're not talking about slightly bigger. This thing is big enough to swallow Yellowstone, Yosemite, Grand Canyon, Glacier, and Great Smokies National Parks combined, and still have room for seconds. This mix of state-owned and forever wild private lands creates a wilderness area so huge, it's almost like it is its own country. While other states brag about their individual national parks, New York just casually has a protected area bigger than all their famous parks put together. Fact 16. Moose country. The Adirondacks are home to one of the biggest wildlife comeback stories in the East. Around 400 moose now live in the region. That's the largest moose population east of the Mississippi. If you're hoping to spot one in the eastern US, your best bet is right here in New York. These huge animals, some over 1,000 pounds, have made the Adirondacks their home base. Fact 15. Thunder snow. Buffalo is one of the few places where you can experience thunder snow, a rare weather event where snow falls during a thunderstorm. It happens when cold Arctic air moves over the warmer waters of Lake Erie, creating the perfect setup for snow squalls with lightning and thunder. The result is a powerful and unusual combination of heavy snow and flashes of lightning, a reminder of how extreme and unpredictable lake effect weather can be. Fact 14. Bottomless Finger Lakes. New York's Finger Lakes aren't just pretty, they're ridiculously deep. Synica Lake plunges about 630 feet down, making it the second deepest lake in the continental United States. Not to be outdone, Cayuga Lake sits 435 feet deep, claiming the 4th deepest spot. Fact 13. Deep Reservoir. Hidden in the Catskills lies the Ashokan Reservoir, the deepest reservoir in New York City's entire water system at around 190 feet deep. This aquatic giant reaches its maximum depth near the dam, right where Bishop Falls used to cascade before the reservoir swallowed it whole. It's like having an underwater canyon disguised as a peaceful mountain lake. While tourists admire the scenic Catskill views from the surface, there's this massive liquid cavern sitting beneath, deep enough to completely hide a 15-story building. Fact 12. Arctic Bogs. Deep in the Adirondacks, isolated peat bogs and fens preserve plant and animal species rarely found anywhere else in New York. Spring Pond Bog Preserve is the second largest open peatland in the state, and it feels more like northern Canada than upstate New York. These ancient wetlands are home to rare plants, including some carnivorous species, creating a unique ecosystem that has remained mostly unchanged for thousands of years. Fact 11. Forest Empire. When most people think of New York, they picture skyscrapers and taxicabs. But here's a plot twist. The Empire State is actually the Forest State. About 62% of New York is covered in trees, roughly 18.6 million acres of woodland. To put that in perspective, there's approximately 1 acre of forest for every single New York resident. Fact 10. Water Wonderland. New York is one of the most water-rich states in the country. It has over 7,600 lakes and ponds, plus about 59,000 miles of rivers and streams. And that's not even counting its share of Lakes Erie and Ontario. Because of its connection to the Great Lakes, around 20% of the world's fresh surface water flows through New York. That's 1/5 of all the drinkable surface water on Earth. Fact 9. Niagara's Deluge. Niagara Falls moves water on an impressive scale. Every second, about 75,000 gallons flow over the American and Bridal Veil Falls, and around 682,000 gallons rush over Horseshoe Falls. Altogether, that's more than 3,000 tons of water per second. To put that in perspective, that's enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool in just 2 seconds. Fact 8. There's a fault line right under Manhattan. Here's something to think about next time you're walking through Harlem. There's a legitimate fault line running right under your feet. The 125th Street fault cuts through Upper Manhattan like a geological time bomb. This underground troublemaker is suspected of causing a magnitude 5.2 earthquake back in 1737, 2 smaller ones in 1981, and a 2.4 magnitude quake in 2001. Today, it still has the potential to produce tremors right under NYC's forest of skyscrapers. Fact 7. Largest inland lake. While the Finger Lakes get all the attention, Oneida Lake quietly holds the title as New York's largest lake entirely within state borders. At 51,243 acres, this east-west oriented giant stretches 20 miles long and ranges from 1 to 5 miles wide. The key word here is entirely. Sure, New York shares bigger lakes with its neighbors, but Oneida Lake is 100% New York's. Fact 6. Rivers galore. Here's a number that'll make you rethink New York's geography. Nearly 59,300 miles of rivers and streams wind through the state. That's enough waterways to circle the Earth more than twice. Some of these streams are random, playing seasonal hide-and-seek with the land. The crown jewel, the Hudson River. Fact 5. Long Hudson River. The Hudson River holds the title as New York's longest river, lying entirely within state borders, flowing an impressive 301 miles from its Adirondack birthplace to the Atlantic Ocean. That's like driving from New York City to Boston, except the Hudson does it all within the Empire State. Starting as a humble mountain stream in the wilderness, the Hudson transforms into a mighty waterway that eventually cradles Manhattan's skyline. Fact 4. Rare hurricanes. While Florida gets pummeled annually, New York enjoys a relative hurricane vacation. The Empire State only gets hit by hurricane-strength storms about once every 15 years on average, and major strikes happen roughly every 35 years. New York's hurricane rarity means when one does show up, it tends to catch everyone off guard, and the damage can be devastating. Fact 3. The Finger Lakes' massive footprint. The Finger Lakes region comprises 11 long, narrow glacial lakes, including heavyweights Seneca and Cayuga, covering a combined 133,480 acres. To put that in perspective, that's about 208 square miles of pure freshwater. These 11 lakes collectively create a freshwater empire that's bigger than many entire countries, all carved out by ancient glaciers with serious landscaping ambitions. Fact 2. High Catskill Falls. Hidden in the Catskill Mountains, Haterskill Falls drops 260 feet in 2 major tiers, making it one of the tallest waterfalls in New York. The water first falls to a rocky ledge, then plunges again, creating a dramatic 2-stage drop. The shape of the falls forms a natural amphitheater, and at 260 feet, it's taller than many city buildings, all carved into the ancient rock of the Catskills. Fact 1. Lake Champlain Monster. A watery giant that truly defies neglect is Lake Champlain. This enormous body of water is 400 feet deep and 125 miles long. Its size is so remarkable that it's been dubbed the sixth Great Lake. Despite not being formally a member of the Great Lake system, Champlain's size makes it an attractive candidate. With a lake that is longer than the distance between New York City and Philadelphia, and depths that could engulf a 40-story building, those are impressive credentials. And bonus fact, the lake is also a source of drinking water for approximately 200,000 people. What about 50 mind-blowing Asian geography facts you won't believe are true?